the Standard Pauper Show. It's a show about Standard Pauper. Well, hello everybody. I want to start off this week's episode of the Standard Pauper Show talking about the Standard Pauper Gauntlet. It's coming up, just like I talked about last week. Looking at around February 24th. I need you to start brewing. We've already got a lot of spoilers out there, and I know all of you love spoilers. So I'm going to talk about quite a few of them in this episode. Let's start off with what happened this week in Standard Pauper. We have two MPDC tournaments to talk about. Why? Because there was no SPDC. That's right, folks. The Thursday is looking like it's having a hard time finding enough people to show up. So, if you have Thursdays free, go ahead and get on out there. It's a free tournament. You can win some prizes. It's a lot of fun. So let's look what we have here. On January 13th, I had a red deck wins by NT Smith. I've played against him on this channel. You've seen it. And on the 20th, it was hexproof. Red deck wins was nowhere in sight. But that's okay. I like seeing different types of decks win the different tournaments. Keeps things fresh. Let's talk a little bit about the winning decks. Okay, let's do a little comparison. Red deck wins. You have Shock, Annihilating Fire, Dynacharge, Frostburn, Gorehouse, Rakdos, Shred Freak, Foundry Street, Madcap Skills, Rebel Belt Maka, a Crone Crusader, Lightning Strike, Minotaur, Skullcleaver, Titan Strength, got your Mountains, Chandra's Outrage, Annihilating Fire, Trickery, Mugging, Razor Tip. Now, Bant Hexproof is what this really is. 2 Pacifism, 2 Aura Mancers. I would have gone with 4. Last Breath, Essence Scatter, Glade Cover Scout, Ethereal Armor, Gate Creeper Vine, Rebelback Rhino, Seller of Songbirds, which is a card I do not understand. But, hey, I'm not a brewer. Some of these guys are really good at it. Last Thoughts, a Singleton, that's strange, Cerule Gatekeeper, Celestial Flare, Aqua's Form, Hopeful Eidolon, then you got an assortment of lands. And if you were keeping track while I was talking, that is 62 cards. I had to count several times myself to make sure. He ran with 62. I'm not going to run 62, and I'll explain it in a minute. Sideboard, Centaur Healer, interesting sideboard choice. Here is what I would do. First of all, getting rid of 2 Seller of Songbirds and that Singleton Last Thoughts. That's crazy. Actually, just get rid of 1 Seller and 1 Last Thoughts. I took away 2 of the Unknown Shores and added 2 Islands because in just about every instance, having an actual land seemed better to me than having an Unknown Shores. Let's look at the decks in a little bit more in depth. Red deck wins. Here's an opening hand. You only have 1 land. Now, I played this on the channel. You can go look it up. And I can tell you right now, never, ever keep 1-landers. I don't care if every card in your deck only takes 1 mana. Never keep 1-landers. I did, and it was terrible. That's not the first time I've done it. From experience, I can tell you, it's just a bad way to go. Look at the curve out. See those 2 4-drops? Those are only the Rebel Belt Makas. You are going to cast them for full cost very, very rarely. Let's look at the next 6 draws. What do you have? When I kept a 1-lander, I didn't get another land in the next 6. This happens to have 4. This should not be an indicator that you will ever keep a 1-land hand. let's say it together. Never keep a 1-land hand. Unless you want to lose, like I did. Then you can keep it all you want. Okay, let's look here. Here is the Bant Hexproof. Now, I ran this as my version because I'm just not going to, even if this gets in the Pauper Gauntlet, I'm not running 62 cards. It's crazy. Here's another 1-land and Unknown Shores. If you even consider keeping this, I need you to close down Moto, think about why you play the game, and then come back after some soul searching. Here's the next 6. Look at this. You would have no mana ever. The deck itself is interesting. I mean, Bant Hexproof. It's an archetype. But in Pauper, look at the curve. You got a 5-drop, and mostly 2-drops, but you have a few 3 and 4, which kind of make up a little bit of the curve. Gate Creeper is one of the best cards, especially, you use it to go get mana. I mean, that's the whole thing, and the fact that it can get Guildgates as well is extremely nice. What did I play? Well, I would have played Mono Blue Control. This is the updated version. I was working with David Schafferon with the Omen speakers and whatnot. I played a game or 2 with it just to see how it went. I kept hitting the mirror. As crazy as that is, I only hit either Mono Blue or Blue White. It fared okay. Now, last week I talked about this card right here. It was one of the previews, the spoilers for Born of the Gods. Nyxborn Shieldmate. It's a 1-drop. That's a 1/2. It's awesome. Has a bestow of 2/1. It's actually not the cheapest bestow I've seen. We'll get to that one in a minute. But I want to go through where I think this thing can fit. Specifically, the White Weenie deck. Here's Bigby's. Bigby won with this a couple of times. It's got Auramancer, Pegasus, Keening Apparition, Hopeful Eidolon, Observant, and the one that to me that's out of place is the Syndic of Tithes. I'm not too keen on the Keening Apparition. But anyway, this Syndic, yes, I realize it can, as long as you can cast a spell, it's going to drain life. But again, you need something with it to be able to cast something for that to even take effect. Otherwise, it's just a bear sitting there. So, ta-da! Here's me. Here's the deck I came up with all on my own. It's so unique. As you can see at the bottom, it just might not be original. Okay, what I did is I took away the Syndic of Tithes and added the 4 Nyxborn Shieldmates. I think this synergy is just amazing. If you put Ethereal Armor on the Nyxborn, right there you have a 3/4. That's crazy. But there it is. So let's look at what else. Kept everything else the same. I just think that adding that Nyxborn Shieldmate will make this deck even more explosive, if you want to call it that. You're just going to be very, very consistent. And Auramancer can go get anything. Okay, let's start off with this week's previews. There are a lot. Very rarely does Wizards preview this many commons before the set. Usually we don't get anything until, just a couple of days before it's released. What do we have here? Nyxborn Wolf. It's a bestow. It's a 3/1. I think this could go into the green-white auras, maybe even a mono green. Bestow to me is a little high, just due to its initial cost of 2 and a green. But let's look at, here's Big B's green-white auras deck. You know, he's got the Glade Cover, Hopeful, Deadly Recluse, Keening Apparition, Leaf Crown, Oromancer. All great cards. Here's my shoehorned auras. Okay, I moved Deadly Recluse over here to the sideboard. I kind of just took some things away to make them fit in there. I think an equal, if you took out Keening, could also work, but just due to the nature of so many enchantments currently running around, I thought that taking out the Recluse was the way to go. Feel free to disagree. I just want to give you some idea of where I think that these cards can fit. Let's look at the next one. Nyxborn Rollicker. Look at that satyr. He is going to town. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe that's an offering area and he's just kicking over vases with reckless abandon. But I want you to look at it. What is this? A bestow of 1 and a red. Now, he's only a 1/1 for 1. Not great. But he can also be bestowed for 1, for 1 and a red. That's pretty good. Who can use this? I'm going to say the red deck wins. Maybe even a Boros Auras build is in order. We'll look at that option a little later. This is pretty incredible. I think this one will probably see more play than maybe any other bestow creature. Here's what I was looking at. Okay, the Boros aggro deck. Cable ran this. He got up to top 4. You got the Oromancer, Foundry Street, Woljek, Viashino, Crowan Crusader, Hopeful Eidolon, and the Skullcleaver. And you got your assortment over here. Now, what I thought we could do, there it is. Okay, I took out both of the dual colored cards. Yes, they're good. I understand that. And replaced them with the 2 new bestow cards. Because what I figure is, these are harder to cast. These much easier, but they have the option to be put on any of the other creatures you have. I see it as making this deck way easier on the mana base, just because you're not constantly worried about with these, your big cards right there. You have to have a red and a white. This one just need red. With this one, just need white. It can work. I'm going to run this at some point. I know for a fact. It's just awesome. Unless they come out with something better than this Rollicker. It's possible, but I think this one has some potential. What's the next one? Marsh Mist Titan. Who can use this? Mono Black Devotion. You know why? Read that text. Marsh Mist Titan costs X less to cast, where X is your devotion to black. He is a 6 non-black, 7 cost for a 4/5, which is too high. But the one thing you're trying to do in Mono Black Devotion is get your devotion count up. It is not out of the question to cast this huge thing for 1 black mana. I think this one will be in other Pauper decks, like maybe even Pauper Classic. It's just a huge one. It can stand up to the Nessie and Asp, which is one of the biggest cards in Pauper right now. Yeah, did you see the text on this thing? As far as Mono Black Devotion goes, I think there's one other card that can fit in there. Let's take a look at the next one. But this Marsh Titan, I think this one's going to make some waves. Nyxborn Eidolon. It's a 2/1 with a bestow of 4 and a black, and it gives creatures +2/+1. Who can use it? Well, again, mono black devotion. Does it need any more help? No, but let's look at where I think it'll fit. Okay. Here's the mono black deck that was winning quite a bit early on. Drain Pipe, Perilous, Basilica Screecher, Corpse Hauler, Disciple of Phenax, and Gary. I see 4 cards right now that I think can be replaced to make this deck even better. There it is. Mono black 2, the Electric Boogaloo. Take away the Drain Pipe Vermin, all they are. I guess you can sometimes make someone discard. Put in those Eidolons. Take out the Perilous Shadow. What are you trying to do with the Perilous Shadow? You're trying to make a beast. Marsh Mist Titan fits there. I think it's a perfect replacement as far as I'm concerned. It's going to make this deck a heck of a lot more of a pain to deal with. You know, you're going to be hit by Gary just him hitting the board, and then Marsh Mist Titan's going to come in, and you know, you're not going to have a good day fighting against this one. Okay, what do we got? Nyxborn Triton. It's a 2/3 for 3. Not great, but his bestow, look at that. That's the same bestow cost as that Eidolon we just looked at, but the enchanted creature gets +2/+3. That's really great. Maybe there's a blue-green auras deck or a white-blue auras deck. I don't know. What I did is I took the green-white auras, the one we looked at earlier, and I totally redid it to add in maybe a white-blue auras. Took out all the green cards. Pretty easy transition. Replaced them with blue cards I thought would work in this situation. Again, this is just a shell. Hopefuls could be something else. Keening could be something else. But I don't know. I think something's there, especially with the white-blue flyers deck we'll look at in a little bit. But I think there's something here. Next one, Loyal Pegasus. Who can use it? Again, I think the white weenie deck can actually use this one. Only problem is he needs friends. Always needs friends to either attack or block. Remember Warfalcon? Warfalcon was used a lot. The difference is Warfalcon could always block, no matter what. Could only attack if you had a knight or soldier creature. This guy just needs someone else to help him out a little bit. I think it can be used. I think it'll be in the same slot that Warfalcon was in. But a 2/1 flying for 1 is nothing to sneeze at. I looked at Godzo's white-blue flyers, and I think I found a place for it. That's right, white-blue, now with more flying. Took out the Deputy of Acquittals, put in the Pegasus. Dramatic Rescue I took out and added Divination. I know I didn't highlight it there, sorry about that. Beckon Apparition, I'm just not a fan. I know it's been in like every sideboard, but I think God's Willing needs to be in here. So I think these 3 additions and these 3 subtractions are the way to go for this particular deck. Alright, now we're getting into some of the, I don't know, I'm just not nearly as enthusiastic about the remainder of the spoilers. Here's Sudden Storm, 4 mana instant, tap 2 creatures, they don't untap, scry 1. Frost Breath +1. I don't think anyone's going to use it. Maybe it's just limited. Who knows? Let's look at the next one. Servant of Chimera. Another zombie. This inspired ability. I like it. Especially like that every time it untaps, you drain 1 life. It's pretty awesome. He regenerates. He's a 1/3. So he's, I mean, great blocker. But you're going to have to tap with him. I guess when you regenerate, he taps, which is something to consider. But that's 3 mana every turn for 1 life drain. If I want to do that, I'm going to use the white card that does the exact same thing. But anyway, I think it's a good card. I just don't know that it has a place right now. This whole inspired cycle is going to have to be built around before anything special can be done with it. Okay. Impetuous Sun Chaser. It's a 2 mana flying haste 1/1 that has to attack each turn. Can it find a place? Maybe in red deck wins, maybe in the Boros aggro deck. I'm not sure. It just does not. It's so fragile. You're going to have to protect it as soon as you bring it out. You can get away with it probably once. I didn't put it into any kind of specific deck because I just don't think it is good enough to be in the red deck wins right now. But I know it sounds crazy. A flying haster for 2 mana and you don't want to put it in. Nope, I don't. But anyway, I could be wrong. Someone may be able to find something just awesome to do with it. And maybe there is, I don't know. I know in other decks, anything that, it's a human soldier. So many abilities in Classic to give human soldiers plus abilities. So we'll see. Maybe not in Standard Pauper, maybe Classic. I'm not sure. I think this is pretty unique. I don't know of many other 2-drop flying hasters that are out there. I'll have to do some research on that one. Let's see what we got. Floodtide Serpent. This one's different. The only way he can attack is if you put an enchantment back into your hand. Yes, you can. Those type of drawbacks, if you will, have always been able to be, well, for the most part, have been able to be abused in some manner to make them less of a drawback and more of a asset. But here's the deal. It's a 4/4 for 5. Doesn't have Island Walk. Doesn't fly. That's a tough pill to swallow right there. Maybe it's just limited. I don't know. You'd have to really build around this thing. But also, I have a beef with this card. It's a 4/4. Look how huge it is. It's towering over an entire city. And it's a 4/4. Come on, Wizards. You can have your artist maybe scale it down a bit. When they're rendering the picture, just, I don't know, crop it down 60%. Alright, let's look at the next one. Fellhide Brawler. It's a 2/2 for 2 with a drawback. If you want this in your black deck, use Gutter Skulk. This is kind of... It can't block unless you control a Minotaur. Maybe in Minotaur Tribal, if you're looking to curve, have your curve at 2, it's probably one of the very few 2-drop Minotaurs. The other one is the 2/3 that has to attack every turn, the Raider Minotaur. Alright, here's a new one, Fearsome Temper. An enchantment that gives it +2/+2. It also has the ability to prevent a specific target creature from blocking the enchanted creature. It's a little bit of a niche, but I'm sure it could be useful, especially if someone has a Death Toucher on their side and you want to attack. Just make that one not attack and you're getting in. Who can use it? Like I said here, Red Deck Wins already has Madcap Skills, which has a similar effect. Right now, Boros aggro doesn't really have a place for a 3-drop. I think once Madcap rotates out, this guy might have a place in one of the aforementioned decks. I think it's good. 2/2, and you get kind of a strange unblockable ability. I think there's potential there, but right now I just don't see a place for it. Fall of the Hammer. I don't think this card in Pauper right now, it doesn't have a place. Where it would go, if you're looking at Red Deck Wins, creatures are roughly 2 power. You could combo it with Titan Strength or something like that, but then you're spending 2 cards to get rid of a creature. I really, really, really like this card. I think it's awesome. It is by far the best fight card ever. To me, it's on the order of Skred. Skred, if you don't know, it deals X damage to target creature where X is all equal to the number of snowlands you have. I know they don't have snowlands anymore, but this is very similar, because if you have something huge out there, even a defender, if it's just an absurdly large defender, for whatever reason has a lot of attack, you can pick off creatures one by one and they don't do damage back, which is fantastic. Really good removal, but the decks that would have it don't really have a place for it. Maybe if there is something red-green, Gruul aggro deck with some large creatures, possible. I don't know. I like the card, I just don't see where it fits right now. Alright. Eye Gouge. Maybe you could put it in mono black. Has some great storyline flavor to it. He can just kill any Cyclops right away, which is pretty cool, especially if you're up against an ill-tempered Cyclops. Nice one to have in the sideboard, but looking at this, it makes me miss things like, Deadweight, Pepper Smoke, Scar, Stabbing Pain, Virulent Wound, and Tragic Slip. All of those are better than this. What really gets me is why they didn't just reprint Lose Hope. Seriously, look at this card. 1 mana, instant, same thing, but it's Scry 2. The set that we're in is a Scry set. It's right there, Wizards. You just copy paste, man. It's so easy. I don't get it. Why wouldn't you just print this? It even has a look at it. You even have to change the art. It has a lion, and they're making the leonins in this. So it's I don't even know what to say. It's right there. Anyway, flavor, cool. The fact they didn't reprint this card is crazy. Okay. Another one, Culling Mark. You force a creature to block. Yeah, I don't see that as good. But maybe it's unlimited. I couldn't even begin to think of where I would want this in any of the decks out there right now. Aspect of Hydra. Okay. Target creature gets XX, where X is your devotion to green. Instant for 1 green mana, but I think in almost all situations, unless you are already so far ahead that it's probably not going to matter anyway, just having giant growth is better. So, if there is no giant growth, I think this is good. In any environment where giant growth is available, I just don't see this as that great. It just seems like a win more at that point. But, like I said, if there is no giant growth, this is useful. Let's see, what else do we got? I think that's it for the previews. Yep. Thanks for watching. Here's all of our channels. It's the YouTube, Magic Gathering Strat. You're already here. Go ahead and subscribe. Twitter, @MagicGathStrat. I know that's a little awkward, but hey, it's the way it is. It's our webpage, mtgostrat.com. We have some Twitch TV. We don't use it all that often, but there are videos out there. Feel free to go watch them. Facebook is Facebook/MagicGatheringStrat. Please subscribe. Click like, share out, whatever you can do. It helps. Again, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Have a good day.